How are we, my fellow top of the league merchants? And that's all we are right now, folks. We're just going to have to accept it. We are top of the league merchants. It's the cross that we have to bear right now as Liverpool fans. And yes, I am getting a little bit carried away, but why not? Why not? For every Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher there is trying to piss on our cornflakes, I'm here to pour more cornflakes into the bowl and let us dream, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We were told Chelsea was going to be the first big test. I think it's safe to say we passed that test, as much as Gary Neville still wants to profess that Arsenal are the only team capable of challenging City. I'll try and figure out tonight why he's wrong, and why I think that also Jamie Carragher is a little bit foolish to suggest that Liverpool don't need Zubimendi or another type of midfielder because of a good game or two from Curtis Jones. That, lots more, some contract talk, some injury updates, and of course whatever it is that you guys want to discuss. We're here for it tonight, my friends. The preview went out earlier on today. I couldn't believe I had to record it last night. Believe it or not, I finished all the match content last night and then went, 2 days before the preview, I got to record the preview. So that went out this morning. We also did a video with David Lynch earlier on today. Again, I hope you had a chance to watch that. Appreciate the support in the comments. As always, so kind in there. So yeah, that's where we're at up until now. We'll go through tonight and figure out what we expect on Wednesday. And of course, a few other bits and pieces around contract renewals and whatnot as well. Right, what have we got? I hate every Sky pundit, said Ewan. So I have to say, look, I try to be consistent, Ewan, in what I say. I don't hate Neville and Carragher, but I don't like them talking about Liverpool stuff. When we're not talking about Liverpool stuff, I enjoy Neville and Carragher. But it felt like we got rid of Martin Tyler, who I know wasn't a United fan according to Sky, but was certainly very enthusiastic on all things United. And now I have to listen to Gary Neville. Gary Neville commenting on Liverpool games, want Mohamed Salah to get yellow cards for simulation when he's probably the least protected player in the whole goddamn league. So yeah, Neville can get in the bin first and foremost. Do you know what? I'm sick of the sound of Gary Neville's voice. It feels like I can't go for a shit without Gary Neville being in the bathroom telling me I'm doing it wrong. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm going to try and give you my version of why I think that Gary Neville is very wrong about his assessment of Liverpool, as always. And why I think Jamie needs to just tone it down a little bit with regards to the Curtis Jones love-in. Curtis deserves all the credit for his performance yesterday. It was fantastic and deservedly man of the match. But to suggest that we might not need Martin Zubimendi or another midfielder, it is madness, because we know, and we discussed this with David earlier, Curtis Jones hasn't been able to really go injury-free for a very long time either. So we have to take that in consideration when we're talking about these things. Now, there was a couple of people who became members that I want to thank. Jody Freeborn, thank you, Jody, for becoming a member of Anfield Agenda FC. Really appreciate you. And Eddie Cox-Wilkins, always lovely to see you in, my friend. And thank you, sir, for your continued membership and support of the channel as well. Right, Stevie boy, there he is, sir. How are you? It still blows my mind, dude, thinking of you over there in Australia, chatting with us every day, man. It's brilliant. I look forward to you coming in and saying hello. So, Stevie boy said, credit Curtis Jones for a great game, but one good game doesn't mean Liverpool don't need a midfielder. Yes, and do you know what? Even, Stevie boy, if we went a little bit further and said, let's give Curtis Jones a given that he's going to do well for the season, it still, to me, means we need another midfielder, because we need a particular type of midfielder. And yes, Curtis Jones could do a job in a role, but Curtis Jones, we know, is more of an attacking-minded midfielder. Zubimendi, we need to give Gravenberch a break, if nothing else. You know, it's not that we don't think Gravenberch is good enough. He absolutely is. But we need to be able to rotate and rest up so we don't get into the situation where we start picking up these injuries from fatigue. As an example, we're speaking about Trent Alexander-Arnold and why he was taken off yesterday. David said it was to do with, just managing the minutes, making sure that Trent wasn't overworked after obviously struggling coming back from the England camps. And we need to do that across the board. So I would say to Jamie Carragher, I would calm down a little bit, Jamie. I always enjoy listening to him, but I'd calm down a little bit on the we don't need Jones stuff. I think Sky did him a little bit dirty as well, by the way. I'll tell you why in a second. So, I went to read the Sky Sports articles around the game yesterday, and the headline caught my attention. And the headline from Sky, I think, has actually just stitched Jamie up good and proper. The headline read, Cara, Jones proved Liverpool don't need Zubimendi. In quotation marks. Jamie Carragher never uttered that sentence. the way it was written there by Sky. I'll show you what Jamie actually said, but Sky are stitching him up. Sky have said, Carra, quote, Jones proved Liverpool don't need Zubimendi. Here's what he actually said. Because again, I don't like seeing Jamie Carragher thrown under the bus. I wonder if Arne Slot is going to go back in for Zubimendi in January. But when you see how he played today, you think, no, he has to now do it on a consistent basis. Speaking about Curtis Jones. Never said we don't need Jones. Sky did him up like a kipper there. Which isn't great, is it? For an outlet like Sky. Misquoting their own hosts. That's why I mute the TV and listen to you, Craig, as a commentator, said Des Paul. You know what? I was playing around, Des, with the idea, should I do more actual in-game commentary when we're doing the watch-alongs? Because some people get annoyed at me for reading out comments. Some people get annoyed at me for not reading out comments. So I wonder what the best thing all around is. Should I give commentary on the game and then read out super chats and then at half-time get into the comments, or carry on as we're doing it now? I don't know what people want, so, you know, I'm here to do whatever you guys think is best. Any news on the Mo Salah situation? Yes, sir. Right, so on the contract situations, I guess let's start with Mohamed Salah, as Ryan has asked about Salah first and foremost. So there's a bit of confusion here, Ryan, on this one. So the same outlet, Football Insider, are reporting that Mohamed Salah wants a massive new contract. But the reports are being reported differently by different people. So one outlet said Mohamed Salah wants a 3-year contract, a huge 3-year contract to keep him at Liverpool, which would mean his contract extends at the end of this year for 3 years to 2028. Another article said that he wants a huge extension till 2027. Now, that's an important difference to make, because that extra year is probably the year that the debate is around. We all think Mohamed Salah could do this season and 2 more. I think most people believe that. But is it that last year that's the sticking point? So if it is him really, really pushing for 3 years on top of what he has left for this season, I don't know. I don't know if Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes will go for what is basically a 4-year deal then. This season and 3 more. That's taken Mo up until he's what? 36? Now, he could probably do it. But if you're going to commit the amount of money that the club are going to have to keep Mo, you want to make sure that there's going to be no drop-off. You don't want to have somebody on 350, 4 grand a week, 400 grand a week with bonuses, whatever, if he's not doing it. If Mo continues to do what he's doing now, it isn't an issue, of course. So for me, I've always felt like the right offer is 2 more years after this year, and then an option of a 3rd year for the club. If the club feel that Mohamed Salah is delivering still, trigger the option, give him the extra year. With regard to the wages, I don't know what's been reported, because nobody has put a number out there. What I feel comfortable in saying is I wouldn't be giving him a pay rise. I wouldn't necessarily be looking to slash his wages either. But I think if you're having this conversation around Mo, you have to be realistic and say, yes, he's still delivering at the top level, 100%. But he's also past his peak. I think even the most Mohamed Salah supporter-in-chief would say that we've seen the best of Mo. So I don't think a pay rise is on the horizon here, in my opinion. But if they keep him on the same terms and he agrees to 2 years, I'd be delighted with that. So yeah, we don't know if it's 2 + 1 or if it's 3, as the same outlet, Football Insider, are reporting 2 different stories on it. And also, I would say take the stuff from Football Insider based on my experience of looking at them with a pinch of salt. Craig, have I ever been to Shangana Park in Shankill? Well, I was from Shankill, mate, so yes. I've been all around Shankill. That's where I grew up. At this point, I'd give Salah whatever he wants, because we can always sell him to Saudi later. I mean, there's something to that, Nathan. There's something to that, but I think with Mo, he always comes across as it's a respect thing as well with Mo. And look, he deserves to be respected, of course, you know. But I also feel that deep down he wants to break the records at Liverpool. He wants to carry on. And not that he needs to cement his legacy, because his legacy is secured. But, you know, he wants to be up there, really. When you're speaking about Liverpool, you're speaking about him as one of the greatest 5 players to put on the shirt. So with those extra years, you know, I can safely say, for me anyway, that would leave me no doubt where he belongs, at the very top of Liverpool's list of greats. Well, under Kenny and Stevie. But after that, Alex said, see, the press are starting to give us credit. Are they? Some are. So Gary Neville said, Arsenal are the only team who can take on ominous Manchester City. I don't know what Gary's been watching, but Manchester City are not looking ominous to me. Now, I get what he means. I think what Gary Neville's trying to say is the way they won that game against Wolves yesterday, they're still showing that steeliness, that strong mentality to win these games at the death. That's fair enough. But can we stop the love-in with Arsenal? Because it's really grown old very quickly. What makes Arsenal the only contenders to Manchester City right now when we're sitting here 4 points ahead of them after the same amount of games played? We've beaten United away. We've beaten Chelsea at home. In fact, we've won every game bar one that Arne Slot has been here. And Gary Neville, the bitter little Manchester-based journalist that he is, seems to believe that Arsenal are the only contenders. I mean, is that dude ever going to give us any fucking credit? You know, when he's not talking about our midfield not being better than United's or United not finishing ahead of us, he still just refuses to acknowledge what's in front of his face. We get it. Everybody wants Arsenal to win a league title in the London-centric media. We get it. Everybody wants Arsenal back up there. But the truth is, and the fact of the matter is, there's only one team, one club, that's really put it up to Manchester City over the last 7 or 8 years, and it's Liverpool Football Club. So the fact that Neville still won't give us that credit, I think he's going to be made to look even more foolish as the season goes on, because it's just silliness at this point. You know, one shit take after another about Liverpool and nobody there to challenge him. You know, I don't know what else to say, but that's my take on the whole Neville stuff. I mean, they're all going to be made to eat their words eventually. The dugout said, keep underestimating us, Neville. Yes, keep underestimating us indeed, Doug. And do you know what? Can Sky just stop putting them on our games? Because no Liverpool fan watching them games wants to listen to them. And I get it. It's not just Liverpool fans watching the games, but it's very galling to listen to this bitter little man talking about Salah simulating. And I want to just take you to a post that one of the lads on Twitter posted, and I like this lad's account. If you're on Twitter, you probably know what I'm talking about. The gentleman's name is Barry. And Barry has had something to say on this, so let me just get my notes open here and we'll talk about what Barry has had to say. So, Barry said this, and I think most Liverpool fans would agree with Barry. So Barry's account is at Backseatsman LFC, and he said, Neville sat on commentary for the biggest broadcaster in football, and crying about Salah not being booked for this incident is the kind of shit that feeds into the narrative that Salah is a diver, which leads to him being refereed differently, most manhandled player in the league. And that's been echoed by many people on social media. He doesn't get protection from referees, and this narrative, this lazy narrative from Neville, along with the lazy narrative around Trent from Roy Keane, needs to be called out for what it is. Absolute horseshit. Absolute anti-Liverpool nonsense from lads who just don't want to give us the credit. Like, Roy Keane is still banging on about Trent not being able to defend, when I don't know how many wingers he needs to put in his pocket at this point this season, because nobody really got much joy against them yesterday. Sancho was subbed off at half-time. Rafa Leao got no change out of Trent either. It needs to stop, because it is building a narrative against these players. And Sky are the very ones who are out here telling us all about respecting the game and to see it, report it, and all the other stuff that I think we'll all agree is a good cause. But they got to practice what they preach. You know, we can't be having this respect shit and then have to listen to this absolute tripe from Keane and Neville, who just are bitter about Liverpool being where they are. I'm fed up of it. I want better for my money that I'm paying every month, and I know many Liverpool fans feel the same. Craig, I think we will beat Arsenal as well, said Raven. It's going to be a tough game. Like, Arsenal are a very good side. Even without Saliba, yeah, that certainly plays into our hands a little bit. But look, I'm going there expecting a very difficult game against Arsenal. And actually, just on the Arsenal game, I'm going to be recording a preview for our channel with Lee Gunner on Thursday evening. That's going to come out on Friday morning. So myself and Lee will do a bit of a prediction. And then I'm going to go on Lee's channel and do a reaction with Lee after the game. So Lee will be on here for a preview, and then I'll go on Lee Gunner's channel afterwards, and we'll discuss how the game panned out. So keep an eye out for that if you enjoy Lee's stuff. If you don't, sorry, but I do. I like chatting with Lee. He's a good friend of mine. Right, so lots of shenanigans, by the way, going on. JOTA. People want to know about Diogo JOTA in the chat. So let me get to where we are. So as you've probably seen, if you watched their video with David Lynch earlier on, Diogo JOTA was going for a scan today. Now, there's two trains of thought on this from pretty reliable people. Physio Scout. You've probably seen that account on social media. So they say if it is a rib contusion, so bruising for JOTA, you're talking 1 to 2 weeks. If the result shows a rib fracture, 4 to 6 weeks. So worst case scenario, 4 to 6 weeks. Best case scenario, 1 to 2 weeks. So once we know what the scan shows, we'll know exactly which one of those it is. But that's the kind of time frame you're looking at here. So either way, Arsenal game looks like it's very much doubtful for him. Obviously, Germany looks doubtful. Again, I asked him about Chiesa as well, and he was saying to me that Chiesa should be there or thereabouts. He was surprised perhaps not to see him in the squad for the game against Chelsea, but, you know, touch and go again whether we see him in Leipzig. Right, Will, how are you, bro? And I have another super chat from Nick to get through as well. Thank you both so much. So, Will said, hiya Craig, bored with Neville and co. They'll never stop, so I've stopped listening. Instead, AA commentary is the best to watch live games. I appreciate that, mate. I do. And look, I try to be so fair with this stuff, as fair as I can be as a Liverpool fan, because I credit Neville and Carragher for the great stuff they do on Monday Night Football. And I do feel they add a lot to punditry. But I don't like Neville being near any of our games because he's not being... What's the word I'm looking for? He's not being rational. He's not being fair. And he's not being measured in his analysis. He's just constantly looking to undermine us at every opportunity. You can even hear the disdain in his voice sometimes on comms. It's pathetic, especially the Salah stuff. He needs to stop it. Because he'd be the first one if people were calling for United players, foreign United players, to get booked for simulation. He'd be the first one on there. But when Harry Kane does it, when Harry Kane does it with England, or when Harry Kane did it with Spurs, clever. Gamesmanship. We know. Nick, how are you, my friend? And thank you, Nick, for your super chat. Nick said, Salah gets hugged every time a ball is played long to him from our backline keeper. It'd be a lot more apparent if he wasn't so strong. Neville was a brilliant player, but a rotten pundit and commentator, said Nick. So, again, I agree. Salah gets manhandled week in and week out and has tremendous upper body strength, which at the times holds these players off, but I don't understand any narrative around the man being a diver. I'm trying to be objective about this because I really just don't see how Mohamed Salah dives. I'm not saying he's never gone down easily. He's a forward. Most of them, at some point, will try to win a foul or a free kick or a penalty. But the way Neville goes on, you swear he's at it all the time. Like, it's just wrong. And it builds this narrative again that a referee's going to go into the game and think, I'm giving him nothing. I'm going into Anfield, never mind the atmosphere, never mind that, and I'm giving them nothing. I'm giving them nothing easy here. And that felt kind of like what John Brooks did when he came there yesterday. So myself and David disagreed on certain incidents in the game, but we both agreed that John Brooks did not handle that game very well yesterday. And to hear Maresca moaning about decisions after the game, I don't know what game he was watching, but Enzo, both of them, both teams were shafted by John Brooks yesterday, and I certainly felt more shafted as a Liverpool fan. King Kenny, 1892, how are you, bro? And thank you for being a member with us for 7 months. Said, honest man with integrity, rare to find these days. Hi, my name's Craig, honest man with integrity. A rare find, you might say. Now, welcome in, bro, and thank you. You are right. It is. Even in my industry, mate, you know, I've got a few stories I'm keeping in my back pocket about the closed shop for Liverpool fans and fan content. I have a few things. Nobody can ever accuse me of not reaching out to other Liverpool channels, by the way. I've done it constantly. And there's one theme that keeps happening, and that's local channels not wanting to do anything with us. They'll say it's because they don't like us. They'll say it's because whatever. Cool. But I've reached out to all of them over the years trying to do crossover stuff, and not fucking one of them has ever shown us any type of respect or dignity or just shittiness. Keep doing it, lads, because I tell you what, we're not going anywhere. Dan Roberts, how are you, bro? Say, Craig, thanks for your content. Well, let me stop you there, Dan. I've always said this, my man. You don't need to thank me for anything. It's a pleasure to be here, my friend. Thank you. I agree we usually are 1 or 2 players short of first place. The squad needs more legs for all competitions. Keep on being honest and sluncha. Thank you, mate. Thank you. Look, I've had some terrible takes over the years. We all do. You know, we're emotional. We talk about football. It happens. But I think anybody who looks at our squad and doesn't think we're a few players short of the depth required, I think they're fooling themselves a little bit. Now, look, we'll all say we've a great 11, a great 14, but we still do need to address the areas of concern that we've had for a while, and that's the contracts and then midfield and central defence. Lauren said because they're all on the payroll with the club. So, one particular channel, and I won't say who, we reached out to recently and said, would you like to come on, do a video? We'd happy go on yours, you know, to repay the favour. And the message we got back was, we looked at the channel, not really our vibe. So, you know, keep on working away. So I thought about this and I thought, not really your vibe. I'm a Liverpool fan, talking about Liverpool. I kind of think that's the vibe. Maybe I'm wrong. But you know what? Somebody has to try and call out the owners when they're not doing their job. And if that has to be me and a few others, and we get scapegoated for it, cool, so be it. But I know I'm balanced and fair. I know I don't hate the owners for the sake of it. And I know that there's always been people working to make sure we're kept on the outside, kept at arm's length, and don't break into the little cartel that has it all wrapped up. But what they all keep forgetting is there's more Liverpool fans around the world not from the area than there is from the area. And there's certainly a lot of Liverpool fans who feel like second-class citizens. And that's who I'm here to represent. As well as, of course, locals, who I love. But I'm here to represent those people I feel a little bit pissed off, like they're looked down upon. Because let's be honest, we've all suffered at the hands of it at some point. Right, I've got loads of stuff to get through tonight, by the way. Loads. So stick with me. A little bit on Steve Nicol, because he's another one that thankfully we over here don't have to put up with, but our friends over in the United States of America, I don't envy you. And look, tell me I'm wrong about it. And look, this isn't meant against a dig as locals who are go to the games. This is meant as a dig as there is an air of arrogance and an air of we're better than you that some, and I want to emphasise the word some, Liverpool local fans or Liverpool local established important fans, I should say, look down their noses at the rest of us. It's grand until you get a platform and then you're a problem. Why is that? You know why. I know why. But we're not allowed to really talk about it, are we? You'll never walk alone is a myth to some people. It's just a fucking turn of phrase. But when it comes time to living that lifestyle and actually putting your hand out to your fellow fans, it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen with some people. It's all a case of we're victimised, we're scapegoated, we're laughed at, we're ridiculed, we're called wolves, all the other shit. Well, them chickens are going to come home to roost eventually, my friends. And our community's growing and growing and it ain't fucking going anywhere. Right, and tell me I'm wrong. You know, if you've felt like I felt there, tell me I'm wrong. Right, so, Stevie Nicol. The gift that keeps on giving, by the way, and not in a good way. My American friends, I sympathise with you for having to listen to this man week in and week out. So this is what Steve Nicol has had to say about Liverpool's performance against Chelsea. He said, I wasn't impressed. I don't enjoy Liverpool at home at Anfield against anybody and sitting back and trying to play counter-attacking football because that's what it was. Does somebody want to tell him we won? I mean, maybe that passed by Steve Nicol, but Steve, we won. And you called it sitting back and playing counter-attacking football. I called it a plan that was executed and worked. we won, as we have done with almost every game under Arne Slot. I will happily take being a little bit more cautious on occasion than being counter-attacked and pillaged like we have been at times. He is the American television version of Roy Keane, a mouth who just criticises everything. And it's unfortunate, because what a player Steve Nicol was. Incredible. But my God, he talks a load of shit. Absolute. I mean, any American viewers, let me know what you think of him, but my God. Hell, he's just me. Never ending. Just stop it. We won, and you're moaning about it. Zevon said, some people don't realise Slot's tactics were spot on. It was perfect, mate. And do you know what? Speaking with David Lynch earlier on today, one thing that seems to be a recurring belief amongst all of us fans and most journalists as well is we are a lot more defensively stable in Arne Slot's style of football. Look, I get that people were used to, and I was used to, the swashbuckling direct action under Jurgen Klopp. But there were pros and cons to that. You know, obviously, scoring goals, attacking was fun. But we were open and we conceded when we gave the ball away quite a bit. And what we've seen with Arne when he's come in is he's asking people to just take their time, wait for the right pass. We don't have to be as direct. And it's working. And yes, there have been games where it hasn't been pretty. And yes, there have been games where perhaps we've been scratching our heads a little bit. But ultimately, it's a results business. And I will take winning a league title or a European club being a little bit more cautious than fading away at the end of the season because our players are exhausted and we're picking up injuries, which has happened to us many times. So I'm very happy with how we are under Arne Slot, and I expect us to continue to get better and better. Don Pre said, Craig, 100% his take yesterday was shocking. It's just, you know, I need to get something sensationalist to get some column inches. And you know what? It's unfortunate that these type of takes are what gets picked up these days and what gives people the attention that they crave, rather than an actual decent take. Because I'm sure there are many pundits who gave good takes on yesterday's game, but unfortunately here we are talking about the ones yet again who were talking out their backsides. Timothy, how are you, my friend? Said, Caicedo upped his game yesterday because he wanted to prove a point to us for accepting Chelsea over us. Yeah, and he still wasn't there. He still wasn't good enough, which was great to see. So, let's talk a little bit about Darwin Núñez, and I'm going to give you my favourite stat of the week from whoscored.com, so full credit to them for this. Are you ready for this one? You might know where I'm going with it. Darwin Núñez, our centre forward, Darwin Núñez, has more tackles with 9 than Declan Rice in the Premier League this season. Now let that sit. Declan Rice is a central midfielder at 110 odd million quid, and our centre forward has made more tackles this season with limited game time than Arsenal's ever present Declan Rice. That's interesting. I guess it speaks to how Arne Slot likes us to defend from the front and press from the front. But that is a bit of a mad one, isn't it? You know, to see Declan Rice has made less tackles than Darwin Núñez this season. It shocked me more to think, how has Declan Rice only made 7 tackles in the league so far? Considering he's played pretty much every game for Arsenal other than when he was sent off. And as Toby said, yeah, Darwin does have less game time. A lot less, Toby, mate. A lot less. So yeah, that's my favourite stat of the week anyway. So well done to whoscored.com for that one. Nick, how are we, bro? Said, rational opinions don't get high views these days. I know, it's like a race to the bottom. Now look, I'm aware that some people, Nick, will look at this and think that I'm part of that problem. But here's where I differentiate us. We might have an edgy thumbnail or title to get people to come in and watch the video. But when you come into the channel, we're pretty rational people who try to talk sensibly about things. And people judge us off that, off the thumbnails, which, and I'm not inventing this, but people have told me they've judged us off thumbnails. which is weird. I mean, especially when they have such a strong opinion against you when they've never watched a minute of what you had to say. But you're right, mate. Rational opinions, unfortunately, aren't getting highlighted. Again, just look at the type of guys who are getting crossover stuff from, I guess, fan content into mainstream media. It is the people with ridiculous takes. Ridiculous. So we covered yesterday, by the way, that was Liverpool's 3,000th win as a club. A monumental achievement. You know, the club in existence since 1892. And yesterday, when we beat Chelsea, it was the club's 3,000th win as a football club. So well done. What an achievement that is. 3,000, like, wow. Oh, I wanted to show you the winter ball. Have you seen the winter football yet? It's another belter, to be fair. So I'm going to show you now. This is the new winter ball that's going to come into use on the 25th of October with Leicester against Forest. Are you ready? There you go. That is the new winter football. It's another belter, to be fair. I've really enjoyed the winter balls when they've been brought in over the last few years. The one from, I think, 2-3 years ago was probably my favourite. I bought it, actually. It's gorgeous. But yeah, I always enjoyed the winter balls. They're a bit more colourful, and this one's going to start being used on the 25th of October when Leicester City play Forest. That's the first time this ball is going to be used. So let us know your thoughts on it in the comments. It's not bad, yeah, it's nice. A couple of people saying sound ball. They're lovely. Shame about the price of some of them, but yeah, look, it is a nice football, and I think that's definitely a thumbs up from me anyway, from Nike for that football. Salah hat-trick with the winter ball. I like that, Adam. I like that. I can get behind that, bro. So, a couple of more bits. Just when you thought that we couldn't laugh at Manchester United anymore, we've got a new one. So, this came yesterday from Tutto Juve, picked up by Transfer News Live or at Deadline Day Live on X. And I nearly fell off my chair last night when I seen this. Are you ready? Joshua Zirkzee could be allowed to join Juventus on loan if Manchester United sign Benjamin Sesko from Leipzig next summer. Wasn't he supposed to be the best thing in the world when he had that, really good first game for them? Weren't we supposed to be watching the next great thing? I'm confused now. I swear United fans told us he was about to be an absolute superstar. And now reports that they might be looking to loan him out. But that's not the only funny part of it. The next funny part of it that I found is them thinking they're going to get Sesko. You're not. If you're a Sesko and you're looking around right now, and Arsenal will need a forward, Liverpool may need a forward, and other clubs at the top end of the European game might need a forward, I don't think he's going to look around and go, oh yeah, waterfall, shit manager, bottom half of the Premier League, Europa League, yeah, I want to go to Old Trafford. I want to stop playing for Leipzig, who are currently top of the Bundesliga or very close to it, or in the Champions League. I want to go and play for Manchester United. Yeah, it's not really going to happen there, boys. Andrew James said, you deserve 1 million subs. You're a very genuine YouTuber that sees us as more than just fans. Well, I don't see you as fans, first and foremost. I see you as mates. I've said this all along, mate. What pisses me off, Andrew, are people who establish themselves, like our channel has, and then think that they're suddenly something. I'm well aware that I'm a normal man who got a bit lucky, has, yes, worked hard to get here, but I am no better or worse than anybody else. I just got lucky. And I will never allow myself to become an asshole like some others. But with regard to the 1 million subs, look, man, I'm never thought we'd get to this number. So who knows what the future has in store. But I thank you for your support. Right. A bit from Rafael Benitez, our former manager, on Arne Slot. He said they're top of the league because they're attacking and defending really well. He is somebody you can see uses common sense when he's talking. He was talking about the international break, and when you have experience and players, with the South American players coming back, it's crucial to win the game one way or another. They did, the team is competitive, know what to do, and have the right mentality to stay at the top of the table. He is level. He has to prove himself again. It shows a competitive mentality and wants to win something. When you have Salah on 75 minutes coming back to help the defence and then having to go forward to create a chance, you have all the team together. Don't forget, you have 2 or 3 players coming from the bench, from international duty, and they're top class players. That means they have the competitive mentality, and then you can see that they're going in the right direction. They have a plan, they have an idea, the right mentality, they have confidence, and I think they're doing really well. So kind words there from Rafa. You may have seen Rafa on Match of the Day 2 last night. Kind words there from Rafa towards Arne Slot, and I think reasonable measured as well from Rafa. You know, us fans can get carried away. That's our job. But, you know, you see a former manager there being impressed with Arne Slot. And I don't know how you couldn't be impressed, to be fair. Arne has come in, done his own thing, been his own man. And I think now everybody is starting to warm to him. But one thing made me laugh yesterday. So Arne is a far more composed, measured man than Jurgen, and certainly than me and many others. But even the PGMOL started to get to Arne Slot yesterday. And whoever it was on Sky that did that perfect cut of Darwin Núñez being angry and then pan straight over to our bench and Arne Slot being angry. Perfect. Well done. No notes. Give that man or woman a pay rise, whoever was on. Whoever was editing that footage for Sky yesterday, because that was box office. And you could see, he exploded. He had enough of John Brooks and his stupid decisions, because Darwin Núñez fairly shoulders the Chelsea defender off the ball. And it was a picture perfect shoulder barge, like bang together. And Darwin was just stronger. And John Brooks gave a free kick at the very end of the game that could have set Chelsea up with another chance to attack us and maybe get a late equaliser. So I don't blame Arne and his staff and Darwin and everybody else for being pissed off about it. But it's only going to get worse, Arne. I'm afraid, mate. It's only going to get worse. Yeah, Joel, I'm going to gloss over that comment because I haven't got a feckin' clue what it's about, mate. Craig, how was the storm where you were at? It wasn't too bad. It was just a bit windy. We were kind of sheltered from it a bit. You know, over on the west coast of Ireland, it was a lot stronger, and I'm over on the southeast. So, that goal from Chris Wood, was it a header or a shot? I asked because I haven't to score a header, so 1-0 Forest, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering on that one. Right, lots more stuff to go through. A really good piece in The Athletic. It was a shot, damn. I had him to score a header. Oh well, still. It means United go down a place in the league table if they win. So, you know, Forest win, United are 12th. Adam said, Craig, mate, I love our Anfield Agenda family. You've given us this community and never sold out. Me and the kids love it. Thank you for keeping it real. And mate, I've often said the community is the thing I'm most proud of, because what a group of people. You know, every night I see you guys interacting with each other, you know, asking each other how they are before the stream, saying hello. It's lovely to see before you start a stream, to sit back and see everybody chatting with each other. So there's a really good piece on The Athletic that speaks about the 4-2-4 system that we played with yesterday and how Chelsea very cleverly found a way around it. And I'm going to read a little bit of it out to you. If you have an Athletic subscription, this was a very good piece, and I certainly recommend reading it. So, it said, defensively, things were less encouraging. Liverpool's 4-2-4 worked well in terms of preventing passes from opposition centre-backs into central midfield, but at times the formation looked a little square and prone to diagonal passes through the lines. The main issue was coping with Gusto, who played a half-back from the left, pushing into the inside midfield role, so playing in that half space. Went on to say, Liverpool struggled to cope with balls like this, although Gusto could have been more positive with his subsequent pass. And they show some examples during the game with still images. It's brilliant. And they're right. If you look at the way that Chelsea broke through at times yesterday, they weren't playing straight passes because our 4 at the front, then 2 in midfield, then our 4 at the back were looking to block those channels. But Boy took it inside into the half spaces. Gusto, and on the right-hand side as well, were given options. And the times that they did break through, and indeed the goal that they scored, came from a diagonal pass into midfield, then a straight pass through the centre. But it was a really, really good, well-written piece. And I'd certainly say, if you have an Athletic subscription, go and have a look at it. Well done. Really good piece. Really informative. Craig, Billy from Boston, love you guys and girls. We all come from the dented canile. What's a dented canile? It means, the not perfect condition, little bit worn, discounted. And I would certainly consider myself in that one. Yeah, I'd be on the dented canile, Billy. I think that's about right, mate. So, we've spoken about Neville and Carragher, and we've spoken about the fact that their takes have been questionable. Well, big up Micah Richards, because at least Micah Richards has some sense, and said, Liverpool are challengers now. There's no mistake about it. Thank you, Micah. Thank you for giving us the acknowledgement, because we are contenders. We might not be the favourites, but this narrative that Neville so badly wants to exist of Arsenal being the only team that can challenge City, it's proven to be horseshit, because we're the only team that stopped them from winning a league title in recent years. And if it wasn't for us, this would have been a Farmers League a long time ago. And Arsenal have yet to deliver anything. One FA Cup, that's not enough. With the money Arteta spent, Arsenal need to start really winning a Premier League or a Champions League. Or else, the media need to do their job and start asking, when is Arteta going to make that next leap? When does the pressure start to come on? Because if it was us, I promise you they'd be still talking about the fact we haven't delivered yet. So this love-in that some of the media have for anything London, and it's not just Arsenal, it needs to stop. Give more balance to what you're saying. Pro said, if you were offered a draw now, would you take it against Arsenal? I would, mate. Yeah, I would. I'll be honest. Away from home, even without Saliba, I'll tell you why I'd take it, mate. I have respect for Arsenal, their fans, and the team, and how good they are. They're a good side. But I've no belief that we're not going to get shafted by the officials. And I don't say that because I think the officials are going to be pro-Arsenal. I just feel like we always get shafted in big games. And if you look at the 3 examples I give all the time, away at Spurs last year, Arsenal at home last year, and City at home last year. At the points of those games, all of those were either at the top of the table or considered title challengers. In fact, Neville said Spurs were going to finish ahead of Arsenal last year. Another one of your fantastic Gary Neville takes there, mate. Well done. That's on top of the fact that he put Solanke to be Spurs' most, or the most pivotal signing of the summer, and to improve the team the most, and then predict Spurs to finish lower than they finished last year. And these lads are on millions for this shite. So anyway, it's about time Liverpool got that credit, because we are the real deal. Some more shenanigans, you say? I've got your shenanigans. So, the Daily Mail, Mail Sport have said, and now this isn't Craig from Anfield Agenda saying it, this isn't some Johnny No Mark on X or Instagram, this is the Daily Mail saying that Ant and Dec, yes, that Ant and Dec, were told to promote Newcastle's Saudi Arabian takeover on social media, as a report claims that leaked WhatsApp messages from Amanda Staveley point to their involvement. Now, let me ask you a question. If this is true, and, it is an allegation at this point, but if it is true that Ant and Dec were told to promote, or paid to promote, or asked to lean on the influence of being pro-Saudi Arabia taking over Newcastle, if that's the case, how are we as rational people supposed to believe that Abu Dhabi and Manchester City's owners are not going even more deeper than that. So that's just a little bit of pressure on two influential Newcastle locals who have a huge platform. Obviously, the whole of Europe knows who Ant and Dec are. So if we're supposed to believe that for a little simple takeover, they're doing that. But I'm supposed to sit here and think that there's no interference from the Abu Dhabi government or anything around Manchester City. No leaning into the English government or the UK government. Football is getting very fucking grubby. And a lot of people are getting paid a lot of money to look sideways or to sell their morals. Is anybody left in this goddamn sport looking out for the best interests of the Premier League and these clubs? Anybody? It's just so grubby, all of it. And you know what? We all love a bit of Ant and Dec. Let's be honest, we all love a bit of Ant and Dec. But if that was the case, I mean, shame on them all. It just keeps chipping away at the love of the game. It keeps chipping away at what we're all brought up to believe was true. It's just all now, we have morals until a big enough check is written, and then a lot of people seemingly just forget where they came from and what they're about and just turn their nose. It's not good enough. Right, so a couple of super chats to get through, and you guys let me know your thoughts on the whole Ant and Dec and Saudi thing, and of course Manchester City and Abu Dhabi. Right, so Arne has handled the English media well. He's great in interviews and press conferences, haven't given the snakes in the media anything to bite onto. I agree. I think he's been firm but fair, to quote Mills Lane. I'm firm but I'm fair, and that's exactly how I think he's been with the media. You know, being kind of blunt in the, if you're asking about the contract, you're going to get the same answer. But yeah, also fair and light-hearted what he needs to be. I've been very impressed with how Arne has handled himself. Danny said, is anyone else sick of hearing, Mike, I don't want to send my mate to the Monitor Dean talk absolute horseshit. Why is he even there? So, apparently, Danny, before the penalty incident in one of the games this weekend, he said one thing, and then when it was overturned, I think it was Sanchez tackling Jones, said one thing, Mike Dean, before we heard the audio and before they got the communication from VAR. And then when the VAR communication came out, immediately shifted perspectives and start back in that. And again, I ask you, who is going to start to protect the game and call these people out? I've said this many times. How do Sky Sports go from this guy who's been shown to not be trustworthy? His own words told us that he didn't send his mate Anthony Taylor to the Monitor. And Sky reward that undermining of the game by giving this man a contract and a job. But, you know, we want hate removed from the game, lads. It's so full of shit. So, LFC Gamer Vlog said the Daily Mail is in fear for wiping its arse. Mate, I will agree with you a lot of the time. But also, a lot of the reporting around Manchester City, good in-depth reporting around the whole situation, has been done by the Mail. Believe it or not, there's a really, 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 really good piece that they did investigating how this is being kept all cloak and dagger, and how there's been secret hearings, and how the media are constantly being kept out and sent in other directions, let's say. So, you know, I'm with you on the Mail for a lot of stuff, but they have done around the City stuff some really good work. Tyler, how are you, mate? Said, Craig, great to be back on the streams. Thanks for your help earlier tonight, and I'm looking forward to Leipzig. What's your prediction? 2-2. I went 2-2, Tyler, mate, in my preview, because I think we're going to see some changes. They haven't lost. I don't think they've even conceded a goal. At home in the Bundesliga this year. And whilst I agree with David earlier on when he said that there should be a gulf between us and Leipzig, I think 2-2 is where I'm at with it, because I want Arnott to make the changes. We need the strongest lads we can possibly get for the game against Arsenal. So if that means rotating out Trent, rotating out Robbo. So my 11 for the game. You know, I want you to watch the preview, but you're on here with me now, so I'll talk through my 11. Here's my predicted team for the game, or what I would do for the game. So Kelleher in goal, Gomez at right back. I would stick with Canade and Virgil. I would put in at left back Costas to give Robbo a rest. In midfield, I would go Gravenberch, McAllister, Jones, because I think Dominic Szoboszlai could do with a breather. And Jones, let's just see if he can keep this good form going. So I'd keep Jones in. In the attacking trio, I'd go Mo on the right, because he's got Champions League records to be breaking. I'd go back to Diaz on the left, and then I would go through the centre. Obviously, we've no choice now. It's Darwin Núñez, because we've no other real options there. If Chiesa's back, I wouldn't be expecting him to start the game. So that's what I would do. And my prediction was for a 2-2. Dark Elix said, can you believe some Chelsea fans believe the refs won us the game yesterday? Always going to be the case. Now, do you know what? I couldn't have begrudged Chelsea a point yesterday if they had have gotten it. I think their performance probably deserved the point. But it wasn't the referee that cost them. And I know that they will feel that Jadon Sancho maybe should have had a penalty for Trent standing on his foot. I get their frustration at that. We're frustrated from our side over the incident we felt should have been a red card. But, you know, it was a difficult game. It was a close game with two very well-coached teams. And Liverpool just happened to come through it. So I can understand Chelsea fans being frustrated, but I don't think there was any robbery going on in the game. I don't see how they come up with that. How injured is Jota, said Antoango. So there's two things, mate, around Diogo Jota. One, he had a scan today. But what we don't know yet is the results of that scan. But there are two potential outcomes, really. And this is coming from Physio Scout, who said, if it's a rib contusion, so bruising, it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks. If there's a fracture, 4 to 6 weeks. Very painful injury, by the way. So that's kind of where we're at. Worst case scenario, 4 to 6 weeks. Best case scenario, a week to 2 weeks. So let's wait and see what the scan shows, whether it was just a bruise or whether it is a cracked rib. Yeah, it was the rib. It was when the player landed on him, I think, when the Chelsea centre-back pulled him down. I think he landed on him awkwardly, and Diogo tried to carry on, as we've seen, but he wasn't able to get past the pain of his rib, so unfortunately had to come off. Which is ironic, isn't it? Chelsea's man stays on the pitch, our man ends up having to get substituted. But there you go, them's the breaks. So, there's a Swedish guy that tweeted something earlier on which blew Connor's mind, and it's blown mine as well. So if you want to have a look at this for yourself, the gentleman's account is at Swede, SWEDE stats. So Division 4 in women's football is crazy. Ängelholms FF went invincible and didn't concede a goal during the entire season and still didn't win the league. Let me say that again. 4th Division Swedish football, one side, Ängelholms, went invincible, didn't concede one goal throughout the entire season and still didn't win the league. That is mental. Mental. They won 15 and drew 3. So obviously all their draws were 0-0. But imagine going invincible, not conceding a single goal all year and not winning a league title. And here was us complaining about our 97 points. It's mental, isn't it? Pedro said, we were the ones getting the bloody calls against us. Yes, mate. I certainly felt like yesterday, every time a Chelsea player went to ground, John Brooks couldn't get the yellow card and couldn't give the free kick quick enough. They always sing that song about Gerrard. Yeah, obsessed, Alex. Obsessed about Steven Gerrard. Still singing the Slippin' song as well. Mental. Just checking my notes to see if I've forgotten anything here, by the way. Sorry. Oh, yes, cool. A little quote from our captain, Virgil van Dijk. So Virgil was asked about playing at the level he's at into his late 30s. So obviously, a lot of media coverage today about Virgil's contract and a lot of optimism that Virgil will stay at Liverpool. So here's a quote from Virgil around the whole situation and him playing into his late 30s. He said, "I feel very good physically, mentally, and I'm having fun. Discussions are ongoing with the right people, and when it's time to make a decision or whatever, I think you guys, the media, will know it as well. But now my full commitment and focus is on Liverpool and to be successful this season. My own form is fine. I will let others do the talking. I don't want to talk about myself. It's not me who is not conceding. It's all of us who are not conceding." Well played, Virg. Well played, sir. David Lynch, when I spoke with him earlier on as well, was saying the Virgil was very giving of his time to the media after the game against Chelsea in the mix zone. Stopped and had a chat with them all. And actually on David Lynch, he's got a really good piece up on his Substack at the minute. So if you're looking to search it out, you can search David Lynch LFC at .co.uk. Sorry, davidlynchlfc.co.uk is David's Substack page where this piece is up there, breaking down basically the differences of our defending and how we are conceding less chances. So do check that one out if you get a chance. Right, I'm going to ask you what you think for Mo with the contract extension, how many years you would give if you were in charge. So 1 second. Now remember, this question that I'm about to ask is after this season. So after this season, how many more years would you give Mo if you were in charge? Seconds. Right, so there's the question. So answers 1 year. Hang on, 2 years. Add option 3 years. And last option. Right, so I've given you 4 options: 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, or none. Let him leave in the summer. I'm interested to see where all your heads are at with this one. Now I know there could be a lot of 2+1s, but for this poll, a 2+1 would have to be the 3. So if you think 2+1, please vote number 3. Where I'm at with it personally, I'm probably in the 2-year camp because it's 2 years after this year, but I do love the 2+1. But for me, that 1 should be the club having the option, but that's where I'm at with it. But look, let's see what you guys think. And something else actually, around the Mohamed Salah contract extension, I'm not liking some of the wording around it, because you'll see on a lot of the accounts today, the phrase is Mohamed Salah wants, and then in brackets, of course, or quotation marks, mega money, 3-year contract. Now, is it just me, or does that feel a little bit loaded as a statement? Because if it's already on what he's on now, I don't think saying mega money is fair, because it's what he's currently on. If he's asking for a pay rise of 50 or 100 grand a week, fair enough. But if it's just Mohamed Salah wants a continuation on the terms he's on, I think mega money is a very snidey way of describing it personally. But yeah. Beach said, "Hi Craig, Ben from New Zealand. Looking forward to watching Liverpool play on Thursday morning. Early wake up, but worth it. It's going to be a very interesting game, isn't it, Ben? Leipzig, we should be able to go over there and get something. If we go strong, I'll be expecting the win. I went 2-2 with my prediction because I am expecting a lot of changes. But either way, fascinating 20 days coming up. 7 games for us, starting with the Chelsea game that we won. Then we've got Leipzig on Wednesday, Thursday morning for you. Obviously Arsenal then coming up at the weekend. Then it's into back-to-back games against Brighton, one in the League Cup, one in the league. Then we've got Real Madrid, Leverkusen, Manchester City. You know, it's just crazy, the games you have coming up. Really exciting, but also very difficult. So, you've been really good so far with the likes, my friends. We're already up over 400. If you haven't, please do take a second. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button for us as well. Let's see if we can get us up over 500. And also, just a reminder, as you've probably seen before the stream, we're now only 4 weeks out from our show at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool. We're going to be there November the 15th. It's a Friday night. We hope you can come along and join us. You can get your tickets with the link pinned to the top of the chat or in the description, or of course on the Hot Water Comedy Club website. It's 20 quid for a ticket, and again, it's an all ages event, so we look forward to seeing you there. Leipzig playing well. They are, Alex, yes. Last time I checked, and I don't know if the game yesterday changed, but they were top of the Bundesliga, or right up there with Bayern. Ali will be back for the City and Real games, just a reminder. Hopefully, toes, mate. Hopefully, yes. But either way, I think Carragher has earned the trust that many of us Liverpool fans have given him. And understandably so, he's been really, really good. Katie said, Craig, have you heard anything about Jota's injury? A little bit, Katie. There was some interesting posts going around to kind of give us 2 potential outcomes of it. So this came from Physio Scout, which is a football injury analysis site. And they say if it's just a contusion to his ribs, so bruising, you're talking 1 or 2 weeks. If it's a fracture of the rib or a broken rib, it'll be 4 to 6 weeks. So I guess the scan was taking place today. David Lynch told us that earlier on when we did the video with him. And I guess we'll know the results soon enough. Or at the very latest when Arne does his pre-Leipzig press conference. Shannon, LFC, said, Craig, do you think we make a signing in January? Yes, I do. I probably would have said I don't feel it's likely, but having spoken with David and seeing, you know, some narratives around our business change a little bit, I think that there's certainly every potential of us bringing somebody in January. Speaking again, and look, I would say watch the video with David if you didn't get a chance, or if you want to listen to it as a podcast, search Anfield Agenda in your podcast app. He was saying as well to kind of, if Joe Gomez, as an example, looks for a move away and something comes in January, then Liverpool may have a question to answer there. Do they move Joe on and replace him? So that could be one example of us doing business in January. Costas, maybe another one. And then, of course, there's the big one. You know, do we have a midfielder in mind? Do we go back in for Zubamendi? That's a question I just don't know the answer to yet. Have you seen reports that Klopp linked with Leeds because of the Red Bull group? Reports, I would say it's lazy. You know, Klopp at the moment is over all the coaches. So Klopp's going to be the coach's coach at Red Bull. I definitely don't see him coming back to the Premier League to manage Leeds, even with that Red Bull tie-in. I don't think you'll see Jurgen Klopp back in the Premier League, full stop. I think he's managed us, and it's only downhill from there. Leeds are a great club, don't get me wrong, and I love the Leeds fans, but yeah, no, I don't see that happening. I don't see him managing any of the Red Bull clubs, to be honest, you know, because none of them, I don't think any of them are really high profile enough to justify Jurgen Klopp as manager. Triller X said, do you think Elliot could start when Dom doesn't give out his best performances? I'm a little bit confused, mate, at the moment around the whole Dominic Szoboszlai narrative. I understand anybody who thinks there's still more to come from Dom. I think that's fair. But yesterday, as an example, we finished the game, we won, and we came into the post-match show, and there was a lot of people moaning about Dom. And a lot of people saying that he needs to be dropped, and a lot of people saying he's not good enough, and I just feel it's a little bit over the top. I would agree He's got more quality to him than perhaps we've seen on a consistent basis. But I'd also remind people that he hasn't even yet entered his prime as a player, so he's probably still learning the system under Arne. And yes, we'd like more goals and assists. So I think the more people that we can get that Arne Slot feels are genuine contenders to start, whether that's Elliott, whether that's Jones, whether that's Waturo, then the better we'll be as a team. Because it's about earning the manager's trust now for Elliott when he comes back, as an example. And Curtis Jones, if he continues to play like he did yesterday, it's going to be some difficult decisions for Arne to make with regards to team selection. So, yeah, I would agree Dom needs to be a little bit better, but I'm not in the camp of thinking that he's stinking the gaff up or anything like that. I just think, for some reason, there always needs to be a scapegoat, and he's the very latest one. Mark Faulkner said, did you read the article from Coutinho admitting leaving Liverpool was a mistake? I haven't seen it, no. Cool. Thank you, Mark, for letting me know Woods got taken off. Appreciate the update. No, I haven't seen that piece, but I can imagine, I can imagine he feels that way, because it didn't really exactly work out for him getting that dream move to Barcelona. And I think he was done dirty as well there. I don't think they played him in his best position enough. So if he felt that way, look, I hope others pay attention to it. If you're Trent, as an example, we all understand the lure and allure of Real Madrid, but, Liverpool Football Club are a massive, massive club. So I hope Trent doesn't have his head turned. Tyler said, Craig, are you getting the ferry for the 15th or are you getting on the plane? So we're on the plane for the show on the 15th, and then for the game we're going over to in January, we're getting the ferry over for that one. So yeah, we're flying in for this one, because we're just in and out one night into Liverpool and back home. And then in January, even less, mate. We're getting the boat over, driving to the game, getting back in the car, driving back to Holyhead, getting on a 2:30 boat in the morning and going back to Dublin. Have you changed your mind over Jones after the performance yesterday? I think no. One game is great, and maybe me even saying one game is unfair to Curtis Jones. But what I would say is there's no doubt that he put in a great performance yesterday, and there's no doubt that he feels happier with the style of football under Arne Slot. He feels that's more suited to his attributes. But we're going to need more consistency. We're going to need a bigger sample size for Curtis Jones, which is kind of what the whole title of tonight's stream was about. So Jamie Carragher said, and Sky did him dirty with this headline, with Jones' performance, Liverpool probably don't need Zubamendi. That's way too early to be saying that. But look, make no mistake about it. As a Liverpool fan, I want Curtis Jones to do well. But I think if we look back over the last 3-4 years at Liverpool, between, poor form and injuries, it just hasn't really happened for him. But we know what he's capable of. And if he can put together a run of 5 to 10 games in this level of form, I'll happily put my hands up and say I was wrong. But right now, good start, but a little bit consistency would be great. But again, I'm somebody who wants everybody that pulls on the shirt to do well, so I have no problem putting my hands up if somebody who I've previously criticised has come good. That's what we all want. Katie said, do I watch Arsenal fan TV? I don't, but I don't really watch any fan content because I don't really have the time, Katie. Usually if I go onto YouTube, I'll watch a bit of IFL TV, for the boxing coverage. I don't really have the time, to be honest with you. I'm a nerd, believe it or not. This show probably looks like it's kind of all just me coming on and yapping, but I spend a lot of time reading, researching, trying to find out as much information as I can, whether it's little funny tidbits or whatever to bring to the show each night. So I just don't have the time. It's no slight against any of those channels. Yeah, I'm just busy. Jones more attacking than Zubamendi. Yes, Rohan, which was another reason I didn't really understand the narrative around that conversation from Carragher was, look, give Jones his credit, but Yeah, he's not a Zubamendi type player, is he? Dark Elix said, why would you give Dom the benefit of the doubt due to age but not with Curtis even though he's only a year older? So, two things there. And look, it's a fair question you've asked, mate. Two reasons. One, Jones has had more injuries. So, I haven't had a big enough sample size to see what he is capable of. We've seen Szoboszlai do it with Hungary, with Leipzig, previously at a high level. And also, Jones grew up through Liverpool's academy. You know, came all the way through, was brought up in English football. So I also have that allowance for Szoboszlai that, you know, he might take a little bit longer. And he's also seen a change of manager, which of course Curtis Jones has as well. But that means that Szoboszlai now has to learn to play a different type of role as well. So I guess that's my answer to it. But I've no problem with you asking that type of question, mate. You know, that's fair. But the reason, I hope you understand where I'm coming from with my answer. Mainly the injuries, though, I think is the problem for Jones. He just hasn't got that run where he's been able to. And he said himself he may be managing an injury or two longer term. So, yeah. But again, fair take. What are my thoughts on Tuchel as England manager? I think it's a really good appointment, Katie. You know, I'm Irish. I have to look at an Icelandic dentist who was fired by Jamaica managing my national team. So, you know, for us, Irish people, or for maybe lesser footballing nations around the world, these are first world problems, right? Oh no, Champions League winning Thomas Tuchel's the England manager for 18 months after we had to be subjected to Gareth Southgate. So what I mean? Like, come on. I get it, he's German, but he's a good manager. Joe Marsden said, I believe Salah has lost a lot of his game, but he keeps banging them in. Just imagine if he was on form. So I think with Mo, he's not the same Mo he was, but he's evolved into a different player. Look at the assist that he gave Curtis Jones yesterday. Incredible vision, incredible execution of the pass. There was another beautiful switch of play for Mo yesterday. So, yeah, look, he's lost a yard of pace. He's not going to be as direct as maybe he once was, but his game intelligence, his movement, I think it's incredible. And of course his physicality as well, the way he looks after himself. Azan said, has Salah said to the club his demands? I was reading that Salah said he wants a stay till 2027 and Virgil talks are ongoing. Is this true? So, I've seen the report you're on about, and I'm a bit confused by it, Azan, because both of them go back to which outlet was it again? 1 second. Both of them go back to Football Insider. One of the pieces said Salah wants 3 years, and the other one says till 2027. So one of them is 2, and one of them is 3. So if you're talking about till 2027, I think that's a very reasonable contract length for Mo, because that's 2 more years after this year. So if Mo's asking for that on the money he's on now, my view would be pay the man, sign him up. 2 more years after this year seems reasonable. So yeah, on that one, if Mo has said that, give him the contract. With Virgil himself, and I read out his comments earlier on, said that he is talking with the club, his representative is speaking with the club. No news as of yet, but you know, he's fully focused and everything you would expect from our captain. So I think that gets done. And on the Trent one, this is the one that honestly, I don't know. I'm really, really on the fence about what happens with Trent. I want to be optimistic. I want to think that there's no way he could leave, but I've said the same thing for a long time, and I'm going to try again to explain it as best as I can. I feel if we hadn't won the Premier League, there's more chance Trent wouldn't go anywhere. Now, I know we won a Premier League in COVID times and didn't get to celebrate it properly with the fans. But Trent will never have the what if. He'll never have the, if I won a league title with Liverpool, would that have meant more to me than 5 league titles with Real Madrid? Because he's won the league title. He's won a European Cup. He's won everything he can win in England with Liverpool at one stage or another. That and the contract situation being allowed to get to this point worries me. Because if I'm in his shoes, either one of two things are happening. The club have taken their eye off the ball and haven't shown me the love and haven't communicated strongly enough that they wanted to keep me. That's one scenario. Or there's the other scenario where Trent maybe has engineered the situation to get to this point by stalling over Jurgen leaving, who the next coach is going to be, what the next coach is going to play like. And obviously, the longer it goes on, the more money Trent's going to get. And I've no hate for a player running down the contract and leaving for free, because that's what they signed up for. If a player plays at the club and leaves for free, that's the game. You know, they've fulfilled their contract. But my anger is squarely at the club and not Trent here, because I don't know what Trent wants to do. But I know it's a fucking piss take that we're here allowing this situation to develop when, you know, Stevie Wonder could have seen this coming. And I know everybody tries to bury their heads in the sand and say, oh, this isn't a distraction. These are fully focused professional players. Yeah, I'm sure they are. But it's still a distraction, because here we are every day talking about it. Here we are as fans worried about it. And I'm sure people in that dressing room are looking around going, is this guy going to be here in 3 years? If I'm going to extend my next contract, is the club going in the right direction? It does seep and increase doubts around people's minds. It does. And one of the biggest pains in the arse that I've personally had, and I said this to Connor, and I mean this with no disrespect, but it feels like nearly every year we're talking about a Salah contract situation. And it feels like nearly every year we have this looming over us where we may lose him or we may not. And it's tiring, all of it. It's just get these things done quickly or announce what's happening quickly. But it is a distraction, and it is mentally draining for fans as well, because we don't want these guys to go. But we also don't want FSG to do FSG stuff and go, well, no signings, but ta-da! Here's your Christmas present. The guys have signed a new deal. They get away with too much in that regard for me. And there isn't enough anger in our fan base at this situation for my liking personally. Not at the players. Again, nobody should be hating on the players. But the fact that the club have let it get here, I don't understand how people are not absolutely fuming with this situation, because it's a piss take. Matthew, Craig, I fancy you. I don't blame you, mate. I do me as well, to be honest with you, mate. Like, fair. Bit of chubby chasing, nothing wrong with it. Mary said, Trent ain't going nowhere. He's a scouser. Forget about it. I wish I could, Mary. I wish I could. But I'm not there yet, my friend, unfortunately. 210 Record said, let Trent leave. If he won't give us time, and let's just cut our losses, because Mo and Virg are showing that they want to play for the club. Trent is strutting around like he owns Anfield. It is what it is. Again, it's so difficult to speak about a player that we don't know on a personal level, you know. And reading body language is a difficult thing as well, because Trent strikes me as a more introverted type of guy who isn't brash and isn't loud and isn't in everyone's face. And I think that carries over to his body language. So I try not to look at Trent's demeanour when he's getting substituted or when he's out there, because I don't know him. So I don't know if that is just how he is as a guy. It's been, you know, something that's been used against Virg by me as well, I've got to say. You know, I looked at Virg's body language and thought, is he really a captain? Like, is he really going to go out there and be commanding? And he has been, particularly this season. I think Virgil's been incredible in that regard, and makes me feel very foolish about questioning his captaincy, because no doubts about him as a player. But I have to say, I did have concerns that maybe he wouldn't be vocal enough, but he has. You can see that leadership there now. And this season, I think Virg has kicked on again. Nathan said, so Jones proved we don't need him. Last time I checked, Jones isn't a defensive midfielder, and he had one good game. He doesn't often have good games. So, look, mate, I think we need more consistency as well, Nathan. But remember, it isn't me that said we don't need Zubamendi. It is it's a quote Sky attributed towards Jamie Carragher to say about Zubamendi. For me, I think it's great that Jones is doing well, and I hope he continues to. But we still need cover for Ryan Gravenberch, and Jones is not that player, as you've said. He's not that type of player. So we still need that player, in my opinion. Katie said, I think FSG get away with too much from our fan base. So here's the thing, Katie, and you want me to be blunt about this, because when I get blunt, I get in trouble. So if you want me to be blunt about it, I'll give you my honest answer on it. If you want me to give you the stock PR answer, let me know that as well, and I'll give you that answer. Right. Okay, here's my answer, Katie. Look around the Liverpool media landscape and ask yourself this question. Who are the ones that are close to the club, who get access, who get interviews? And do they have dissenting voices towards the owners? I think you'll find the answer is no, they don't have dissenting voices towards the owners. And I would extend that to some parts of the media as well. And here's the problem with that. It's all very well and good saying Anfield Agenda bad, Anfield Agenda toxic, or somebody else bad, somebody else toxic. But where does the challenges come to the owners? Who is going to hold them accountable for failures? Because what we've seen time and time again is, if you brown-nose the club, if you refuse to speak out against anything, you will be granted your access, you will be given your opportunities, you will be highlighted, and you will be put in the good boy camp. If you don't, and you do what I do, which is praise when I think praise is deserved, but be honest and critical and forthcoming in my criticisms when I think they're valid. And all I've ever found is, by doing that, we've been blacklisted, closed off, pushed into a corner, researched by the club when we've gone on trips away to America and stuff. We had the club reaching out to supporters clubs, asking them what their business was with us. And it's all very underhanded and devious. And it's pathetic. And I'll tell you why it's pathetic. I have information, cast iron information, direct from the person that this was in relation to, let's just say I could have hung up a very, 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 very powerful person at Liverpool Football Club. I could have hung them out to dry with information that I had. But I asked myself a question. Why would I do this? Why would I put out that information, which I got direct from the source? I do it to damage the club. And that's not what I'm about. So I never have done it. I've never put that information out into the world. And I've tried to bite my tongue as best as I can, as we're constantly undermined and belittled. We've reached out to the club on many occasions, asking for clarity on our position in the Liverpool media landscape. And we've been stonewalled non-stop. And I get that people will say, maybe they don't like you. And that's okay. That's potentially fair. But the ones that they do seem to give access to are very careful what they say about the club. So for me, if FSG are taking the piss, I'm going to say I think they're taking the piss. It is what it is. My job is to want the best for the football club. And it isn't to want what's the best for FSG, because I do not give a fuck about John W. Henry, Tom Werner, or FSG in general. They're there to sign the checks, keep quiet, and do what you need to do and run the club properly. They haven't. So I've always found that I and others like me have been punished for questioning the narrative. And I get it. They want to paint us all as toxic lunatics who are FSG out. But watch this channel for a day. Watch a video and you'll see that that's not us. But that's the reputation that's been built around us from people who think their shit doesn't stink. And that's the level of hypocrisy that pisses me off. Because, as I said at the start of this stream, you'll never walk alone is a myth to some people. It's you'll never walk alone as long as you just keep saying yes. As long as you just keep brown nosing. As long as you don't actually try to hold owners to account. It's pathetic. You wouldn't accept it from your government. You wouldn't accept it from anybody else. Why should the football club only be asked softball questions? Why should the football club not be held to account when it's not being ran properly on certain aspects? And in the transfer market, our owners are cheap. And that's what I've consistently said over and over again. I haven't attacked John personally about his age, his looks, his wife, or any of that stuff because I'm better than that. But I will call their bullshit out. And make no mistake about it, FSG would sign up for the fucking Super League again tomorrow if they thought they'd get away with it. Because they didn't give a damn about me or you or the season ticket holders or the players or the coaches or the history and the traditions of this football club and the affinity we have with the European Cup when they sold us down the river and we woke up one day to be told, you're joining the Super League. No conversation. Fuck you. That's my answer. You don't get to do that. You're custodians of a club. So I'm going to keep being me. And I'm going to call out what I think needs to be called out. And if people don't like that the way I do it, or my thumbnails, or my titles, or they want to judge me, then they can kiss my ass, quite frankly. Because I know what I'm about. I know I'm a good man. I know I treat my audience fair. I know that I reach out to everybody to try and make content together and bring Liverpool fans together. And I'm constantly stonewalled. And I'm constantly looked down their noses at me and Connor and what we're doing. So keep doing it. Keep doing it and see what happens. Because there's a reason we're the most watched Liverpool fan channel in the world. And that's because people relate to what we're saying. They know that we'll credit things when it's good. And they know that we'll call shit out when it needs to be called out. So there's your answer. I hope that was concise enough for you, Katie. Ned said, so true, Craig, they should be held to account. Exactly. So here's another example for you. When Jurgen Klopp was saying his goodbyes and lots of other LFC content creators were given one-on-one interviews with Jurgen Klopp, were invited along to Jurgen Klopp's farewell, we asked for the opportunity to buy 2 tickets to go over and say goodbye to Jurgen, and reached out to the club directly to say, look, can we not come over? Can we not come say goodbye to a manager that's defined our lifetimes at Liverpool? Didn't even get a response back yet again. So, like I've said, you'll never walk alone is a myth to some people in our club unless you toe the company line. And that pisses me off. Do you think Liverpool will win any trophies this season? And if so, which ones? Oh, I haven't got a clue, mate, on the which one. Do I think I'll win a trophy? Honestly, I don't know. I think we'll have a good year. I think we'll be right there at the end in the Premier League, there or thereabouts. I'm unsure what to really expect in the Champions League for 2 reasons. One, there's the new format that we're all still getting to grips with. And also, I don't have enough of a sample size of Arne Slot's team in Europe. Let me answer it this way. If we do win a trophy this season, I sincerely hope it's either the League or the Champions League. Because it always feels like a bit of an anticlimax when you win a domestic trophy. Not that you should be ungrateful for it, but we've had a lot of FA Cup, League Cups, but the ones that mean the most to me are the 2 big ones, the European Cup and the league title. So if we can win one of them 2, wow, incredible season. But I'm going to judge Arne Slot off what the points tally he said he wants to be from last year, and that's what we put up. What was 82, 83 points. Right, let's check in on the poll. So we asked you guys earlier, after this season, and it's me writing it, so it said Sion because I'm a moron. After this Sion, how many more years contract would you give Salah? So with 64% of the vote, 2 years is the favourite answer, 1 year, 8%. 3 years, 24%. None let him leave, 4%. So 64% of you guys and girls think 2 years is the best length of contract to give Mo. And I agree. Andre said, Craig, what job did you have before you started Anfield Agenda? I was on disability, mate. Before that, I worked in loads of different jobs, mate. The last one I did, I worked in my friend owned Ireland's largest supplement suppliers, and I worked in the warehouse managing it for him, helping to put out all the protein powders and distribute all the stuff around. Before that, again, I was a taxi driver. I worked in a car park, worked as a DJ. Mate, I've had loads of shitty jobs. So yeah, this to me is incredible to be here doing this. What's this? Where did this come from? Oh, some quotes from Arne Slot just come in here on Virgil. I'll get to that in a second. Where was Andre's comment? Yeah, there was. I don't understand how most fans are not fuming. I mean, more fans are holding banners about FSG and the contract situation. I don't understand how they aren't called out more. You know, this summer was another case in point of an unacceptable FSG summer, where we brought in a goalkeeper for the future, no problem with that. Chiesa as an opportunistic buy, no problem with that. But we didn't deliver in the two positions that we were talked about the most, and that's a central midfielder and a centre back. So I don't get it. I don't get how people look at what other clubs are doing in the market, how much they seemingly able to spend. And I'm not talking about Chelsea here or Manchester City. I'm talking about your Aston Villas, your Arsenals, your Spurs, your Uniteds. And look at our net spend. It's nowhere near. So Arne Slot has said, before I worked with Virgil, I always said I no longer believe so much in the concept of a leader. That is something from the past. But Virgil, I think, is somebody who constantly makes sure the boys are there and is the leader in coaching. A real leader. They're big words from Arne. You know, to say that he thought a leader was in the past, old in school football, until he came across Virgil and started working with Virgil. And he sees what Virgil is doing. And although I've disagreed with Jamie Carragher on one thing today, I strongly agree with Jamie Carragher on one other thing. That Virgil van Dijk is the best defender of the Premier League era. Full stop. I know that's a big claim. I know that. And I know people are going to watch this and they're going to point to the trophies that Rio won, or Vidic won, or John Terry won, and other great centre-backs who've been in the Premier League. But honestly, having watched them all, and look, Ferdinand was an unbelievably good centre-back. John Terry was a good centre-back. There was loads of them, especially in Mourinho's time at Chelsea. Some really, really good defenders. But none of them have been able to do what Virgil can do, which is defend aerially, defend on the ground, not have to be rash and dive in, read the game as well as he has, be able to spray around the range of passing that he has from centre-back, be dangerous from set pieces like he is. I just think he has everything that you need in a centre-back. So I would say, pound for pound, Virgil is the best centre-back of the Premier League era, in my opinion. So I agree with Cara on that one. But you know, we have had some very, very good defenders in the Premier League. So I don't say that lightly, but I think he is. Craig, are you a fan of John Jones? No, he's a cheat. I'm not a fan of anybody who cheats, mate. And I know he served his bans and come back and all that, but no, I'm not a fan of anybody who cheats. Nathan said, Slot is doing better than I thought he would. Doing miracles, but we can't have another manager that has to keep doing these miracles. January, we need a DM. Absolutely. You know, absolutely. And that's what boils my blood as much as it does, Nathan. We've always seemingly been close to being what we think as fans are a complete squad. And every time we get to that finish line, we stumble. We won the league and they didn't go and cement that by trying to put out a message that this wasn't going to be a flash in the pan. That we are going to be here and we're going to try and dominate for years to come. We didn't do that. And it feels like they do 85% of the job and don't finish it off in the transfer market. And this summer speaks to that as well. Some people will try to frame it that, one, we had a lot of change behind the scenes at the club. Two, Arne Slot maybe wanted a different type of midfielder. But ultimately, we decided on Zubamendi. They went for Zubamendi, and they didn't sign Zubamendi. They didn't sign Moise Caicedo. They didn't sign Arlian Tchouameni. They didn't sign Romeo Lavia. And they're all failures. High-profile failures that didn't address the position that needs to be strengthened for 2 to 3 years now. And that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable because it's glaringly clear that with those 1 or 2 players, we're the best team in the league, in my opinion, if we get those players. And I don't understand why they're not doing it. And I don't understand if I don't think they'll ever change. Because if they didn't back Jurgen with the big money occasionally, I don't see them doing it elsewhere. I don't see them doing it with Arne Slot, because Jurgen Klopp was a hero, an icon, a legend. And he did unbelievable things with us, and they still left him short. So I don't ever have the belief in them in the market. Toes said 5 Tony Adams, 4 Ferdinand, 3 VVD, 2 Vidic, 1 Terry. I will die on the hill that Rio Ferdinand's a better defender than Nemanja Vidic. I will die on that hill. I've been saying it for a long time. Rio Ferdinand was, in my opinion, streets ahead of Vidic. Vidic still has Fernando Torres nightmares. Rio Ferdinand, I thought, was a Rolls Royce of a centre-back. Like, I watched them play in person on a few occasions. Really, really good. So I would say, whatever about your list in every other area, for me, I would have Ferdinand ahead of Vidic in my list. We're beginning to get injuries. Will we keep it going at the top? It's difficult, isn't it? Because as you've said, we are starting to pick up some injuries. So we've a doubt over JOTA. We've Elliott out, Alisson out. We've got Chiesa doubt, Connor Bradley out. And this is a pivotal time. You know, we've got 7 games in 20 days. So another 1 or 2 injuries. And we've been kind of lucky so far in that, okay, we lost our goalkeeper, but we've got an amazing backup goalkeeper. That's brilliant. But if we lost Virgil or Mo, the season then becomes a much bigger headache because there's bigger shoes there to fill. And we don't have, like, who's the right winger? Chiesa, who I think the next thing we'll all agree on is we can't bank on his fitness yet because we don't know how it's going to pan out. So I think, we are definitely still a little bit away. Is Maka fully fit? Yes. So with Maka, it was an illness that made him touch and go for the game, not the fatigue or anything like that. It was an illness, so that's why he was on the bench to start yesterday. So Gabby Agbonlahor has actually praised Curtis Jones for his performance. He said, "For me, I've been critical of Curtis Jones in his Liverpool career, but this season I don't know why under Arne Slot he's turned up." I mean, he's just made himself look stupid there by saying, I don't know why. The answer is because Arne Slot plays a style of football that leans into Curtis Jones' attributes of carrying the ball and being in and around the final third a lot more. But okay. He also said he's doing what he should be doing. He's making runs into the box. He's getting on the ball. He's driving. He's making some nice touches. And against Chelsea, maybe he should have had 2 penalties. He won the penalty for Salah and took his goal well. That's what you want from your midfielders. That third man run, and that's what he does for his goal. Great finish, and I think Curtis Jones was man of the match for the game against Chelsea. I agree with most of what Agbonlahor said there. But it's funny, if you look at Chelsea fans, they're annoyed at Sanchez. Like, he said there that he took his goal well, Curtis Jones. Chelsea fans are annoyed at Sanchez because they feel Curtis Jones' first touch was heavy, and that should have given Robert Sanchez enough time to get out there and close him down. What do your tats mean, if anything? They don't mean anything. And I mean, there's some small little things that mean stuff to me that you wouldn't really see. Like, I've got the date that I was married in Roman numerals on my wrist. My wife has it as well. I've got the 2 times of the day that both my kids were born on both my wrists. But other than that, it doesn't really mean anything. What's my top 5 worst football pundits? Oh God, I don't know. Worst pundits. Redknapp, Owen, Scholes, Keane, Genius, probably. Can't stand listening to Jermaine Genius. Roy Keane just talks shit. Scholes, he's too dull. I want to fall asleep watching it. Michael Owen is Michael Owen. Yeah, so probably though. Again, that's just off the top of my head though. Do you think it was a second pen on Jones? No, I don't. You know, I agree with that being overturned. Again, can see why it was given, but watching it back, there was no doubt that he got there and got some good contact on the ball. So look, I do agree that was the right decision to overturn the second one yesterday. So I don't have any complaints about that. Yeah, I think it's fair. The first one, nailed on. Enrique has the worst opinions even if he isn't a pundit. I just can't stand that dude. I just can't stand Jose Enrique. I find him extremely cringe and extremely a hanger-on is what I'd say. I'm so happy he's healthy and, you know, he made a recovery from his brain tumour. Truly I am. But I can't be arsed with him, honestly. Trying to make out he was a fucking agent at one point as well. Like, honestly, it's just... Stop it. David Cochran said, Eni Aluko's horrible, I'm not being sexist. Oh, I know, mate. Look, I don't think she's a great pundit either. And as you've said, there are some fantastic female pundits out there doing great work. So I understand. I mean, I've seen some of Eni Aluko's takes and they are questionable, to say the least. So yeah, she certainly would be on the lower end of the female pundits, which, as I said, there are. I used to love listening to the former Chelsea manager Emma Hayes talking about football. I felt that she gave some great insight into the game. I like Alex Scott. I think she's quite good. The lady Sue Smith, the lady that does Ref Watch with Steve Warnock, I like her. I think she talks a lot of sense as well. Gives some good insight into the game. But yeah, I know where you're coming from with Eni Aluko. There's been some strange takes. Andre said, I miss Mourinho as a pundit. I thought he was an incredible pundit. I thought Arsene Wenger gave some good insights as well. I love hearing managers like that on as a pundit. Mourinho, Wenger. I really enjoyed actually when Jesse Marsh went on to Monday Night Football and broke down his style of coaching and stuff as well. I find that fascinating. Ned said Laura Woods. Honestly, I'm not just saying this. I think Laura Woods could present anything. She's that good. And I'm not saying this from a looks perspective. I'm saying this from a personality, a confidence, a relatability. I think Laura Woods is absolutely amazing. You know, I watched her on IFL one day do an interview with Anthony Joshua, and it was like my favourite Anthony Joshua interview ever. And I think Laura Woods could turn her hand to anything as a host or a pundit. I think she's brilliant. Like, really fun, really relaxed, really... I just enjoy it. I enjoy the I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Not aroma. I enjoy the mood that she brings to every bit of work she does. I think she's fantastic. Mourinho so wanted to be Liverpool manager. Yeah, he did. I think Jamie Carragher said at one point Mourinho had a Liverpool crest on his phone or something. I swear he said that at one point. But yeah, look, ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. There will be a news video out in the morning. If you have a chance, please check out the preview and the chat we had with David Lynch as well. Stuff coming up this week. I'm going to be recording with Lee Gunner on Thursday. That's going to be out Friday morning. We're going to be recording with David Lynch again on Thursday after the Leipzig game to get his thoughts on that. And yeah, appreciate your support as always, folks. We'll catch up with you soon.